have any mobility issues. Yeah.
I'll fix the mic in the meantime.
Okay, thanks.
So my Palestinian family is pretty split about what like the best way to boycott is. So we have some that take the stance of you have to be very targeted with specific companies to have the biggest impact. And then I have like my sister who will research for 30 minutes to figure out who's on the board of directors and then ends up boycotting 95% of companies out there. And then you kind of get into that spiraling of like, okay, but if I get Kirkland diapers, they're made by Huggies and Huggies owned is by this. So like, what do you suggest? And it's a question I get from high school students as well all the time, where they'll be like, someone was eating McDonald's, but Tim Hortons is okay. And then it's like, but Tim Hortons is owned by Burger King and Burger King did what McDonald's, and it kind of goes around. So I was wondering what your general advice is in terms of what the best method is, I guess, in order to boycott sustainably and effectively.
Thank you so much. I think Hanna alluded to it. So if anyone is interested in fielding this question, Bram, you had your.
No, thank you so much. I think it's a wonderful question. It's a question that every activist asks. I mean, we've seen now in the news, of course, that the depth of which Microsoft was involved in the recent genocide, the ongoing genocide. We've also seen the participation of Google with its high-tech technology in its interference and oppression of Palestinians. The list of those companies and organizations that are participating in the genocide of the Palestinian people, as well as those who are doing business in the illegal, unrecognized occupied territories, is huge. And I think that you make a really good point around how long the list is and which list and the directors and so on. That is why we personally, as an organization, we advocate for the targeted boycott, because we see the need for boycotting all these different products, but a campaign like the Boycott G4S, or the campaign like FIFA Red Card, or a campaign like what we had in South Africa with Boycott Woolworths, which got some international news because, you know, Pharrell Williams came and we disrupted his conference. It was a targeted campaign. There's a value to targeted campaigns. Targeted campaigns are quite good at bringing people together in strategizing how to make the most impact. And those campaigns could be guided by the fact that we're based in Atlanta or somewhere, and there's a headquarters of this or that company, or other activists have identified their arms manufacturers that we've seen being disrupted in their cities. And, you know, you'll have the World Cup coming potentially to Canada, coming to the US for the soccer. These opportunities can also be used as indicators to direct your campaigns, but also your boycott strategies. So really, I think if I recall how my parents would talk to me during the struggle, the question wasn't, are we doing it perfectly? Are we doing it you know, are we boycotting every single company that's complicit? No, the question was, are we doing enough, and are we doing what we can? And the threat is, if the list is too overwhelming, and if there isn't direction into targeting specifics as a priority, the risk is people get disillusioned and they don't have the energy to really push a boycott. And if we're honest, I think most people, if not all people, in this webinar and in this online and in physically there, if we were to be taken to our homes and go through our kitchen and go through our office and so on, there would be some contradictions. And that's the reality with the magnitude of this global complicity and involvement in the apartheid, oppression, and genocide of the Palestinian people. But that shouldn't be something that disillusions people. It should be more of a reason for us to be inspired to fight harder, and not allow ourselves to be discouraged. So I think in summary, if one can target that's a particular brand with all one's energy, you bring the most blood from those companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Bram. Hanna, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think really we're not saying, you know, I'll just share something from our basis of unity as, you know, Canadian BDS Coalition. We say, you know, that we should boycott all those who are committing genocide. Whatever the case, you know, whatever people can do, they should do, whether boycott targeted or not targeted. And we should try to find alternative, because, I mean, who would buy McDonald's hamburgers? I mean, are we out of our minds? I mean, can't we do a sandwich at home with, you know, cheaper and more healthier sandwich, falafel sandwich, hummus sandwich, whatever you can make at home. And we should be more creative. I mean, to defeat this multinational corporation, we should really depend on ourselves. Grow a garden, for God's sakes. The soil is not owned by anybody. You know, I have a big garden every summer, you know, from tomatoes to cucumber. Why go buy them from these multinational corporation? You know, try to be creative. You know, we're not saying, you know, if a medicine made in the US and it's a death or life, a death and life situation for you, don't have it. We're not saying that. I mean, if you need to do something, you know, you do it. You can't boycott certain things. You can boycott Teva, mind you. It's easy because there is other pharmaceuticals that produce the same drug, you know. But again, you know, try to be creative, for God's sakes, and recycle things. I mean, that's the death of the multinational corporations, if you recycle things and depend on yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanna.